What's up, what's up, what's up, what's up? And that wraps up trading for the last day of January 2020. This was one heck of a month. The first 3 weeks were on fire. We were doing really some solid trading. This week, probably one of my worst weeks of the challenge. I gave back, about $240 profit. For our small account challenge, that's a pretty decent chunk, but overall, we're ending this month about $600 profit, which is great for the fact that our average position size is right now it's about $840. So we were getting really close to that, 100% return on our overall position size. Not to mention, we learned a ton of lessons this month, and one that we learned yesterday, or I made it a rule, never to trade a possible breakout near former support on the second half of the morning. So, rules like that, I really have started engraving into my head throughout this month. And it really got me thinking. I was never really able to do this kind of experimental work when I first started trading. And that's what I want to talk about in this video a little bit, as well as recap my 3 trades that I made today. Back in November, we had somewhat of a historical event when Chase, JP Morgan, and a lot of these big brokerage firms decided to offer $0 commission trading, just like Robinhood. The problem with the Robinhood platform, it was never really good for day trading. It was very basic, and that appealed to a certain demographics of people, but it was never ideal for day traders. I remember the time when a lot of people used charting software like TD Ameritrade, and then they would place orders on Robinhood, and that was a real thing for quite some time, because the fees on these legacy platforms were pretty high. You're typically paying between $3 and $10 per trade, depending on what kind of deal you had with whichever brokerage firm, which really added up. And when I was a day trader in New York City, my trading fees would be north of $200 a day, and that was kind of on average. And so when I was trading back then, I would never have even considered trading with a position size of $800 like we're doing now. I was only trading with $5,000 to $10,000 position sizes, and it was working pretty well. But I was doing my very conservative trading. I was only doing dips, and it was really tough exploring a kind of new setup. You could do simulation trading, which I've done before, but I've never really been a big fan of it, because I feel like when you trade in a simulator with fake cash, you're not really learning the proper lessons. I find simulators better for just understanding how a platform works. What happens if I click this button? How does this execution work? How does this trade template work? And all those little things I found simulators really good for. But actually placing a trade, understanding how you emotionally react to trading. I find the hardest part about trading is really dealing with yourself, understanding who you are as a person, understanding your personality when it comes to how aggressive are you with cutting your losses, what's your style, how comfortable do you feel when you see a loss, how greedy do you get when you're in a profit? Do you let it run too long and then all of a sudden it becomes a loss? So all these things, these hard parts about trading, you don't learn with a simulator. And I was really hesitant to kind of go outside my bubble, which was working for me at the time, because I knew there would be a longer period of learning required where it could be very costly, not just in mistakes, but also just generally fees that you pay. And that's why in November, when all this news came out with TD Ameritrade and some other brokerage firms offering $0 commission trading, I was like, oh man. Like, I was trading crypto pretty heavy in the time, and I was thinking, this is the perfect time to switch over to do a bit more day trading with stocks again. I'm still trading crypto. We have 2 trades actually live right now with crypto, but with stocks, it's so much cheaper than trading crypto. With crypto, it's percentage based, so the fees are just absolutely absurd. It's extremely expensive, and it's a slow moving market in terms of intraday. I know in the longer time frame it moves a lot, but intraday, these moves are very slow. You don't have these nice small caps that are up 300% with big volume. I think crypto really lacks that volume part. So you might have this little altcoin that's up 1,000% in a day, but no one's trading it. So there's a big problem with that. With these small caps, you could get in and out with a position size of $50,000, and you're not really moving the market, which is really nice. And then on top of that, you're paying $0 to execute that trade, which is just absolutely mind-blowing. So then I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to start learning how to trade breakouts. I want to do that. I've always wanted to get good at trading breakouts. So I dove deep into learning the gap and go strategy, which I'm doing in this small account challenge, which I'm still not very good at yet. But this is just our third month doing the gap and go strategy. But the amazing part is I can now learn with a very small amount of money. We started this challenge with almost exactly $4,000, and now we are up to what, 5,100, and 3 green months, and today was our 129th trade. So that just would have never been possible back in the day with a small account size. I would have needed to start maybe trading with, I don't know, $10,000, or else this challenge, I think we would be down right now if we had to pay commissions. So let's think about that for a second. 129. I was paying about $4 per trade, so that's $8 for a roundhouse trade. So yeah, that's $1,032 we would have had to pay to TD Ameritrade on commissions that we've already saved on this challenge. And right now our profit is $933. So if we had to pay commissions, we would actually be just a little bit red on our challenge, and that's crazy. So I was able to practice with a small amount of money, which is great because one, if let's say I completely blow the account, it doesn't really matter that much. It's not going to change my life. But if I had to start practicing with an account size of, let's say, $10, $20, $30,000, or it wouldn't make sense because the commissions would be too high, that puts a lot more pressure on me and makes learning to trade extremely difficult, because now you have to think about all these outside factors. Maybe you won't want to close a trade you should close just because you're hoping it's going to go a little higher because, man, those commissions are kind of high. So not having that stress of commissions is just absolutely amazing. And I know not every country has that. And for many people, you're still going to have to just understand that you're going to have to probably go through that learning phase, that 3, 4, 5 months of learning, and then kind of eat the commissions and then just add to your account size, and then you'll be okay as well. But for United States residents, going to a brokerage firm that has $0 commission trading is just absolutely mind-blowingly good. And I hope that everyone realizes that. Sometimes I'm not really totally sure if this amazing opportunity is as apparent as it should be, but I think this is the number one. This is the best time to learn how to trade. Not to mention, there's just tons of free resources out there, like this channel where I talk about all my trading every day. My goal is to learn with you guys the breakout gap and go strategy and complete our $25,000 challenge, at which point we will move our cash account to a margin account, and then we will be able to do unlimited trading. So that's the goal of this challenge. And talking about challenges, I challenge you to hit that like button if you enjoy this content, and also consider subscribing if you are new here and you want to join me on this $25,000 challenge. I would love to have you, especially in the live streams. I would love to see what you're trading. The community is growing every single week. It's just super fun to trade with you guys. Wowie, guys. What a day we had today. Markets are down. Almost all major indexes are down about 1%. Let's quickly see. Yeah, so we have NASDAQ down 1%. We have the S&P 500 down 1.3%. We have the Dow Jones Industrial Average down 1.45%. That is huge for these indexes, especially the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Quite ridiculous. But this is why, I like day trading, because growing a small account with investing is a little unrealistic unless you have maybe like a 50-year long time horizon where you just, let's say you allocate into that account or your savings account or your Roth IRA or something every month, like $100 or $500 or $1,000, and then over time you go up with the market, and then by the time you're 60, 70, you have maybe $1, $2, $3 million in that account. I mean, that's a great strategy, but if you're trying to make an actual career or a livable income off of the markets, you're going to have to day trade or swing trade once you have a larger account size. This whole week was really rough for me, and honestly, today was also a little bit rough, but we ended with about $25 profit, which, isn't too bad, but especially for the fact that we're using just tiny position sizes. You can see here, position size of the first trade was 730, the second trade 766, and the third trade 805. Some really fun trades. So let's go ahead and talk about them now. We'll talk about CPSH first, and then we'll dive into VXRT. The first trade you guys saw live, CPSH, it was on the live stream, but we did not have it on our watch list. For some reason, my scanner did not pick this one up. I'm still looking into why. and try to see if I can make some adjustments. But maybe it was just because the volume when I ran the scanner this morning was very low. It wasn't until about 9:11 when this thing started moving, and I think that's the reason, because I ran the scanner at about 7:45 this morning. But yeah, so I totally missed this initial run up here, which was actually quite a nice run up, because we have big support here, and then boom, gap and go strategy. This thing runs up 32%. This would have been the runner, or the one we wanted to trade. But let's keep going here. This thing, pulled back to support here at 1.7, the initial big breakout zone, which would have been a really nice initial trade, because this bounce was very quick and it went up 11%, huge bounce. And I thought, maybe we're getting ready to break back above 2, but I didn't want to get an aggressive entry here. So I was waiting for a bit of a pullback near this 1.7 area again. And that's exactly what we got. Boom, we got a quick pullback here at 1.74. And then I was like, all right, there's a good chance that this might continue up. So I'm going to hold this a little bit longer. My goal was right here to break past 1.92 and sell near this top here at about $2. And that's a little, attempt break past VWAP was my goal. Unfortunately, we didn't get that. We pulled back again, and some momentum starts dying. And then I think the next candle or so, there was a big crack down the support, and I didn't want to be in the trade any longer. I was like, who knows how low this will go? I don't want to be part of it. I'm out of here. And which was a good thing, because this thing did end up pulling back at one point pretty aggressively, actually. But then a little bit later, as some support came in here, I was waiting for a crack of 150, and I wanted to buy at like 145. That was my goal. And then eventually we did get that crack. And the reason I wanted to do that is because there was big support in this zone. You could check out, there's a nice big base here from pre-market, and I wanted to enter on that. Not to mention on the long-term chart, this is huge support zone. There's been a lot of tops here, and I was feeling pretty confident in this one. Not to mention, this company had a catalyst that they just secured a lot of funding. So things were looking pretty good overall. And this was a tiny float. Just to quickly review, 20 million market cap, 13 million shares outstanding. The dollar volume though was very fickly. It was under 10 million. So I was very cautious about that. I was like, okay, there's not that many people trading this, but let's see how this thing plays out. And, we dipped below 140, 150 for a split second. I had my limit order ready to go at about 144, but we just never crashed down there. And then we bounced back up, and I was like, did I just miss my possible entry? We also had a little decent volume spike here, and I was a little upset about that. So I went ahead and entered this trade on this bounce, and I entered at 1.52, which wasn't the worst. And then, we kind of hold in this area, and I'm like, okay, this is looking pretty good. Let's see if we can break out. And then we had this nice little move higher, and I was like, okay, perfect. This is exactly what I wanted. Maybe not the best entry, because, I could have easily entered below 150, but whatever, that's just how it is sometimes. And, the bounce was weak though. And then guess what? Pulls back again. I'm like, oh my God, this is like Thursday all over again. I'm about to lose my mind. And I was so close to getting out of this one. If it broke 1.4, I was out. But then, we continued a little bit, and then instantly the buyers came back in. And this was, I was happy the buyers came back in, but in all honesty, it dipped down to 1.43. That's 1 cent below where my limit order was. And I was like, you have to be kidding me. How this whole week I have just been trading like I've been just drunk or something. It's just like emotional based trading. I don't really know what it is. But whatever, hopefully we clean up in the beginning of February. So let's keep going. We finally form a nice little base here. Price tries to pull back again, but it can't. And then, all of a sudden we get a nice little rally to the upside. And I was saying, I never want to buy again near, former support, which is this red area. You could probably even argue that it's a bit lower, maybe 1.61, near in the second half of the trading morning. So let's keep going, and boom, we're all of a sudden in this area. And now I'm thinking, okay, this is usually when I don't want to buy, so maybe it's a good time to sell. And I was waiting for a little crack bit higher. I had my sell order at like 166 or something, 167. I forgot. We didn't get that, and I was like, oh man, oh well. And we had this little dip down, and then I placed the sell order at 159, I think, or 57. And then, yeah, so we spiked back up, and I got out of this trade right away. Which was pretty clean. I mean, it was not the biggest trade. It was a bit unfortunate because I didn't have the best entry and I didn't have the best exit. This move totally was 13%, and somehow we only managed to squeeze, what was that, 3.29% out of it. So, a little disappointing, but that's just how it is sometimes. I was just a little bit too aggressive on this entry right here. This is really what put me on the bad side of this trade. But overall, it was a good thing because if you zoom out here, pulled down really aggressively last time. So this was the big lesson of yesterday. Do not trade in these areas. And, we came back here, try to pull up again, didn't break it again. So this thing will probably continue selling off. Who knows? Maybe at one point today, it'll come back to VWAP or after hours or maybe just never again. Who knows? I'm done trading with this one. The other one I want to talk about quickly, VXRT, another support line bounce, 3% profit. This one was good fun, but I know you guys were trading this one like animals in the live stream, but especially you, Andrew. This one though kind of got me off guard a little bit, and I was a little disappointed how this one played out. So I was waiting for a big dip down here to this former support area, and that's exactly what happened. This one was trading earlier today, extremely annoying. They went ahead and fixed this, but earlier today, all the numbers were like this, 1.0229. And I couldn't enter on any of those. So let me show you guys quickly what that looks like. If I click here, okay, you know what? I can't even do that anymore. But typically, if there's too many decimal places, TD Ameritrade will be like, you cannot enter a trade there. And I have no idea for the life of me, why would they even show a price where I can't enter at? I find it extremely annoying. It completely threw off the spread of this thing. So it was just extremely stressful. This was fixed, and but not at the time. So at the time, I was trying to enter here. And I went ahead and said join the ask because I couldn't actually place the limit order here. And then when I joined the ask, I just joined it way too soon. I joined it here at like 1.08, and it was just literally like 10 seconds after I joined it, the price crashes down to where I would have wanted to put my limit order. I can't really blame TD Ameritrade because I could have manually edited it. It was all happening very fast, and I couldn't enter where I wanted to, and it was just a little bit annoying. But this bounce was pretty big, about a 10% bounce. We really waited in this whole area. This was one of the biggest movers of the day. It had $53 million volume, 48 million market cap, 47 million shares outstanding. So pretty nice. And then the only thing bigger than this was NNBC, both of which were pulling back quite intense. We had the first big bounce here, but this looks like a big bounce, and it kind of is. It was like a 6-7% bounce. But for me, since I entered right about here at 1.08, this bounce only had me 2% profit. And I was like, that's tough because, not really the best way to close out one of my trades. So then we pulled back a little bit, and then I was down about 1%. And then we pulled up right here, and I was like, you know what? I'm just looking for a little bit bigger push. And we eventually got that to 113, and that's where I had my limit order. And it hit 113 3 times. 2 times already. And both times my limit order didn't get executed, and I was really annoyed. I was like, I don't want to keep, being in this and then risk, dropping another one of these and then having a red trade. So I forced a sell onto the bid. Basically, you can see there's 276 buyers right here. I went ahead and just sold into those buyers. And then I got out at a not so great price at 1.11, but I just didn't want to risk this anymore. And which was good because right after I did that, we had this big spike down, and then it's been kind of selling off ever since then. So ultimately, it was a good decision, but I don't know. VXRT was giving me a really hard time today, and yeah, that's just how it is sometimes. At least, we ended today green after such a volatile week for me. But hey, that's the fun part about the small account challenge. You can make mistakes, and it's not, the end of the world. All right, guys, that's everything from me. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found value in this content. If you haven't done so already, consider leaving a like. You definitely make my day. And if you're new here, I would love to see you again. So consider subscribing. I'll make sure you won't regret it. All right, guys, have a phenomenal weekend and Friday night. Till next time, stay safe. And like always, make some awesome trades. Ciao, ciao, guys.